Some of the most powerful mining methods in the game are ones that require no setup at all, and the method I'm about to showcase to you is the best example of that. It can make over 30 million coins per hour while not requiring you to set up a lobby at all. This method is Obsidian, which a lot of the top miners have been using for quite a while now. Anyways, this method makes about 30 to 35 million coins per hour at the time of making this, 1.4 million collection per hour, and 2.3 million experience per hour if you're using a Scotha, and 2.6 million experience per hour if you're using a Silverfish. That is absolutely ridiculous, especially for a method with no setup required. You can level pets off of this while doing it to make even more money per hour as well. With that said, I'm going to get into how this method works now. All it really is mining obsidian in the end in this location right here, and selling it to the bazaar. What makes it really good is having the ability to instantly mine the obsidian, which requires 30,000 mining speed, or 7,500 mining speed at base, if you don't have a blue cheese goblin omelet drill to execute a swap with. If you do, it's only 6,000 mining speed. If you can't instant mine the obsidian, then this method isn't meta at all, so I'd encourage doing something else until you can. If you're really desperate to instantly mine it, you can try some wacky stuff like replacing a Topaz gemstone in your universal slot, if you have one, with an amber or using an amber power scroll, but I doubt it'll be that close for most of you. And if you don't know what blue cheese swapping is, I'll explain it here briefly. It's when you use a second drill with a blue cheese goblin omelet on it for mining speed boost, so you can take advantage of the extra ability level, which gives a massive buff to your mining speed increase and makes your mining speed boost last longer, while still having the Sunnyside goblin omelet on your main drill. If you execute this swap in under a second, you keep the mining speed from your main drill as well, so the second drill doesn't need to be upgraded at all. Before I continue the video, there's something I would like to point out to you all. Just because I did a different sub plug last video doesn't mean I've forgotten about my worst enemy. My Discord. It's this sub plug again, and there is nothing that you can do to stop me from doing it other than subscribing to help me beat my Discord's member count, which is currently an astounding 4,000 members higher than my subscriber count. So, if you like my content, or just really want me to stop doing this sub plug, I would greatly appreciate you subscribing. Anyways, back to Obsidian. One thing that makes this method really special is that you can actually greatly reduce the cooldown of your mining speed boost ability by swapping lobbies. The fact that this method takes no setup at all greatly lends itself to this as well, as when your speed boost runs out, you can just swap lobbies, mine for 60 seconds, and use it again without having to wait the full 2 minutes. Since mining speed boost is such an essential part of this method, this strategy is pretty overpowered for it. As for lobbies you want to swap between, you'll want to choose a lobby with low lag, I chose the park, so that you can warp back as quickly as possible. Then, when you're warping back, you'll want to use warp drag instead of warp end, so that you can teleport back to the location as quickly as possible. The heart of the mountain tree for this method is the standard tree that works for a lot of methods shown here, but if you don't have Peak of the Mountain 6, just don't use Sky Mall, as it doesn't do anything for this method. Neither does Powder Buff, to be fair, but Powder Buff is generally more useful. Efficient Miner is also key to this method, as Efficient Miner actually works in the Obsidian for some weird reason. I'd recommend having it at least Efficient Miner 60, preferably 80 to 100 for this method. Another gimmick with this method is that the Ender equipment set, as well as the Dragon Fade Cloak, is actually meta for Mining Fortune here, giving you 108 Mining Fortune, as opposed to 69.4 from regular Mining Fortune equipment. All you need is a Glistening Reforge and a Recombobulator per piece. None of them can be starred. You may notice that when you use your mining speed boost, you run out of blocks available to mine efficiently. This is why I go outside of the usual circle a little bit and onto this wall, like what's being shown on screen. For regularly mining, the route you take really does not matter a whole lot, as regular mining is so inefficient compared to when you're on a mining speed boost, but I usually try to vary my routing just to keep myself from getting bored. Whether it's a square, strips, a circle, diagonal, whatever. I think mining in a relative circle is the best, though. If you're exceedingly lazy, then you can mine in this spot whilst standing still when you're not on your mining speed boost, which is still infinite, but not nearly as efficient. Finally, this should be obvious, but just to remind people, you want to switch your universal gemstone slot, if you have one, from Topaz to Jade, as this method isn't buffed at all by Pristine. If you're really keen on mining this method, or previously mined mithril or something, then you also don't need to spend money in Topaz gemstones or slots in your Divine Armor. Anyways, enjoy doing Obsidian if you're able to hit that mining speed mark, and if you can't, hopefully you learned something.